Greetings YouTube, time for another bargain video. So up here we have a book on pirates, aimed at kids. That's for my nephews. We have a copy of the first issue of seaQuest DSV comic, which I wasn't even aware existed. I like the cover. I'm going to read it, probably pass it on. I was a really big fan of seaQuest DSV when it first came out, and it got weird and mystical crap. I didn't like it so much, but it was just about people living under the ocean. That was cool. I have a big thing for living under the ocean, even though I'm terrified of deep water. Turquoise Boy and The First Woman. These are both books that deal with the folklore of, or the religious mythology of Native Americans, as well as Spider and the Sky God. And the Turquoise and The First Woman are for my nephews, and the Spider and the Sky God is for my wife, because she is currently working on her own children's novel, story rather, that deals with spiders. Then we have from the same Scholastic, Osborne's Illustrated Guide to Greek Myths and Legends, which I'm probably going to keep for myself, and probably do a review of that at some point. It's fairly information dense, frankly, and I like the illustrations. Then we have Ian Fleming, the man behind James Bond, which could be interesting. Tuxedo Park, a Wall Street tycoon and the secret palace of science that changed the course of World War II. I've heard of Tuxedo Park in discussions from other books I've read about the era, but never a book that dealt specifically with the person that founded Tuxedo Park. So, there we go. Off on their own, living off-grid in comfortable independence. Something I'm never going to do, but it does interest me. So, there you go. Though I would like to get some solar here at the house. That would be nice. We go on to DVDs. Now, this was from Walmart, new, but it rang up at $3.74 as opposed to $5. So I'm like, well, that's a bargain. I don't know why it did, but it did. So, there you go. My wife's telling me I have a sickness. I've been buying Jason Statham movies. Stick It, which a film I saw years ago, which made me smile. I got it for $1. I still have to get Bring It On. I don't have Bring It On in my collection. I need to get that one. The 1935 version of Scrooge, which I didn't think I had, but I do. We watched it again last night, so I'll be passing that on to my father. That was $1. It's worth the gamble. There's so many versions of Scrooge, since it's hard to keep track in my head which ones I've got, and they're almost all called Scrooge. So it's really hard to keep track of in a list or something. It's like you have to have your IMDb database available to you to figure out what it is. Then we have Cars, a movie I've never actually seen. Then we have the television miniseries of Dune, which I've never seen. I've seen stills from it and clips from it, but never actually seen it. I got that for $1. Then we have Capricorn 1, which is a film about faking a Mars mission. And I was a little leery picking it up because it's got O.J. Simpson in it, but it was made long before he became a murderer. I definitely would like to revisit that. It's got a commentary track, so that could be interesting. Then we have Moon, a film I've never seen, but I know what it is about, and the premise was intriguing, and I thought it was also silly, but I'd like to see how it was executed. Then we have Westworld, which was interesting, because just a few days before I found this, I saw a trailer for the television series, or the series they're going to be doing on Westworld, so that was kind of cool. On to the next section. Conga with Vincent Price, which looks really, really bad. I don't know if I've ever actually seen that. I may have. I watched a lot of monster movies when I was a kid, so we'll find out if I have any memory of that. They called me Trinity, which is an actor with an actor who did a number of westerns. Didn't do many of them, but they were somewhat memorable, at least in my head they were. I picked that up for $1 at an antique shop. We have Hoodwinked. I heard this wasn't great, but I wanted to see it because I've never seen it. My wife says she has seen it. Well, I guess she's going to rewatch it with me. European Vacation from National Lampoon, and that has a commentary track by Chevy Chase. It should be intriguing to hear an entire commentary track by just Chevy Chase. That could be weird. We Bought a Zoo, a film I've never seen, but I've actually wanted to for a while. A little heartwarming family thing. Then we have a collection of 15 films, and I picked this up for, let's see, The Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, Jungle Book, Call of the Wild, and Cyrano de Bergerac. And I picked it for $3. So for $3, that was a good selection of films. Then we have the original Journey to the Center of the Earth. I did not have in my collection, so that would be cool. As opposed to the remake that was just, well, there's been a number of remakes over the years. Some of them have been really bad, but that is the one from my childhood that I loved. And then we have a series of 36 lectures by Professor Kenneth W. Harrell. And this is from Tulane University. It's from the Great Courses series. And this has 6 DVDs in there, okay? I paid $3 for this. I went online and I checked. This set right here cost $375. So somebody obviously had it during college. They didn't want it anymore. I lucked out. That was awesome. I have a Napa Valley map, which is a really kind of interesting. I thought I might find some use for that in a role-playing game, but I'm not sure what. This is a tool I threw in here. There'll be more tools later. This is an extension for holding hex bits. So you're wanting to get somewhere far away. I got that for $1 at an estate sale. And we have this aluminum pan here. Actually, this may not be aluminum. This may be steel. I'm not sure. But I'm looking for a baking sheet with a nice high lip. So I picked this up for $2. And we have a stoneware mug, which my wife has been really kind of into this vibe recently, which is fine. It's cool. They hold heat really well, so that'll be cool. And we have a plate. She has a number of other pieces from this, so she picked that up at a yard sale. Then we have a Roku style pot here, or vase, I guess you'd call it. And that very, very severely primitive look, and I kind of like that. Then we have a more polished handmade vase. I picked it for $2 at Goodwill, and I'll be adding to my collection of kitchen dinnerware. Then we have a knife on a stick, which I will find some way to probably further weaponize than it already is. We have a panel lifter for helping you carry sheet goods. That for $2. Always handy to keep around. Yeah, because I recently had to move a piece of plywood, and this would have been very useful. I didn't have it though. We have a solid cast iron whale. It's whale's tail, which I'm going to mount on the wall in my porch, and I'm going to hang bags off of it. Grocery bags, things like that. So that'll be cool. And we have a standard 6-volt big back blocky square batteries lantern, and I'm going to convert that to LED. Picked it up for $1 from a guy at a flea market. We have a bag of figures I picked up for $1, and I actually don't need, for example, I don't need a foal, or a donkey, or whatever. There's a number of ones in here I think I can use, because I've been working on showing how you can use very cheap figures for miniatures and things like that in your role-playing games. And then we have a Safari Ceratosaurus, which I also picked up for $1, and it's perfect scale for 25mm. It really is. You just can't get better than that. We have a bowl, and when I purchased it, I thought it might have been Swedish. My wife thinks it may actually be Hungarian or something, but it's hand carved. And so I think we may turn into a Viking ship, which could be cute. But thought that was kind of cool. So I picked it up. Sure, it was $1. I picked it up purely to see if it was actually Swedish, because my wife has a thing for Swedish things. Then we have this item here, which is a pewter paperweight. We have a keychain. My wife wanted a new fob for her keychain, and this is a elephant, which actually opens up and is big enough to put like a pill inside of or something. Don't know if we're gonna do that, but it was cool. It was it's not very usually it's very heavy. Then we have your very own lunch bell. We actually have an iron dinner bell, but it's kind of flat. But we picked it up because my wife liked the design. So now we have a bell that actually works as a lunch bell. So on to the next section. And now we're on to the somewhat strange section. We have a large tiki that says Hawaii. It is apparently the god of money. We have a number of these actually in our collection. This one we're probably going to put outside. I thought it was just made me smile. We have a cast iron bottle opener. It's a dog. I'm going to mount that on a door frame for my wife because she enjoys imbibing in beers. I am not a beer drinker. I'm not a drinker of alcohol of any kind. Then we have a really adorable little oil can. So I'm going to put some oil in here. I picked it up for $2 at an estate sale. You know, it's the classic push it, make it pump kind of thing. I picked this up at an estate sale as well, and the patina is really nice. It has a nice heft to it. It's got no markings on it, which makes me think it may have been a dedicated tool that like came with a motor or something like that, and this came along to make adjustments on it. Because I don't know, there's no markings for you to know what size this is unless you just grab it in your toolbox and start shoving it onto nuts and hope you get the right one. But yeah, I think it may have come with a piece of technology at some point, but it has a really nice heft to it, and I like the aesthetic and the patina on it. Here we have a weird one. Okay, so it opens up like this. This turns. This wheel is serrated. So I want you to take a look at this. I want you to see if you can figure out what this is. Pause the video, give it a ponder, write down what you think it is. I'm going to count to 3, and I'm going to tell you. 1, 2, 3. This is a ring saw. You take the ring, this device, and you slide it underneath the ring. You then clamp it, and you turn it, and it cuts the ring off. Obviously, this will only go through like gold and silver. It will not go through anything harder. For example, it will not go through tungsten. But I saw this, and I'm like, I must add that to my collection. It just made me smile. It was sold to me by a jeweler. Then we have one of the pinned sockets. You know, lets you do multiple different sizes. Never used one, so I thought I'd give it a try. It's also a 3/8 inch drive, and I own a Snap-on 3/8 inch ratchet, and I didn't have any bits for it. So I need to start collecting bits for it so I can actually use them. Use the ratchet because it's a really nice ratchet. I picked it up at a yard sale years ago. So now I've got my first one. So there you go. Couple of ceramic spoons. I've been looking for some of those. Picked it up at Goodwill. We have a knife here. It's from Ailman. It says Pastor Ailman. There's a little animal figure on there, and it says 007 on here. And it's folding, lock back, and I don't know what it is. I've never seen it, so I'm gonna clean it up. You know, it's not really collectible. It's not in great shape, but kind of cool. Anybody can tell me what they think it is. That'd be awesome. And we have a small puukko, which is actually a nice little knife. And the reason I bought this is I have a nice quality older antique puukko, and I'd like to sharpen it. I've never sharpened a puukko. I don't want to hurt the puukko. So I bought this one for $5 at a flea market so I can learn how to sharpen a puukko correctly. And it's still a useful knife. It has a really nice feel to it. It's light. Be nice for nice small light duty tasks. And I paid $5 for it, so which is less than the guy was actually originally asking. Then we have this thing. And if anybody can tell me what this thing is, I would love to know. It is from P.H. Walker Boston, and I know that they're a company that makes brass work. I got that. I know that. It says number 8 on this side. This hook down here, I believe, was added as an afterthought. It's different than the rest. The guy who sold it said it may possibly be some kind of a gauge, like a lobster gauge or something, but he didn't know. And I don't know. And I've done a lot of searching and I can't find anything. So if anyone can tell me online, their experiences can tell me what this thing is, that would be cool. I'll probably do a video dedicated to this at some point. And then we have the last thing, which is hidden, so I want it to be a big reveal. This is something I've been looking for ages. I found it at an antique shop, and it's a piece of actual railroad tie. There you go. And I'm going to turn this into my very own anvil. Obviously, it needs to be cleaned up. I have an angle grinder. I can do that. I'm going to angle grind the top so it's nice and flat and shiny. And I'm just going to use a wire brush on the rest to get it cleaned up. And I'm going to shape this side here so it's nice and crisp. So make nice right angle on this one, so I can use this for bending and things like that. This angle, this side's a little worse for wear because it's got a knock in it where they cut it originally. And it's 6 inches long, and it was only $7. Now the place that sold it also had a real anvil, but was $300 for a 100-pound anvil, which isn't a bad price, particularly seeing it was a vintage. But I can't afford $300 at the moment, and not to mention at the time moving a 100-pound anvil would have been difficult. But this is quite movable. I am probably going to have to actually modify my smashing stump so I can put this on it when I need to use it so it doesn't move around, because even though this is fairly heavy, when you hit it with a hammer, you're imparting a lot of energy, so it may pop on me. But for the light duty jobs I have at the moment, it's perfect, and I may actually at some point in the future, if all the stars line up properly, actually make my own blade someday. That's kind of a dream. And I needed something to work as an anvil. Here you go, folks. This is my anvil. And this is the end of my bargain video.